Okay, all right, we're going to do the last day of graphing the exponential functions, and we're going to do vertical shifts. First thing you can do is take down what I wrote up there. The vertical shift, whenever you see a vertical shift in the exponential equation, that's where the graph is going to level off. Every single one that we graphed before, it always leveled off at the x-axis, so that's where the y value is 0. Now it's going to level off whatever the vertical shift is. So if we look at the first one, the y equals 2 to the x plus 1, this plus 1, that's the vertical shift. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to where y is 1 right here, and we're going to draw a dotted line right here. That means this curve is never going to cross this horizontal line. All right, so I'm going to put that, let's put that in red so we can see the difference. So that's where it levels off. Okay, that's the only new thing. Then, again, we're going to go to the XY chart. Let's plug in some points, and you'll kind of see where it levels off at that y equals 1. All right, so let's move over here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, and let's plug our values in. All right, let's put in 0. I always like starting with 0. So we'll have, let's see here, 2 to the 0, and then we have plus 1. Well, 2 to the 0 is 1, and then 1 plus 1, that gives us 2. So that's our y-intercept. Our y-intercept changes. It's up at 0, 2. Okay, if I put in 1, let's see here, I put in 2 to the 1. 2 to the 1 is 2 now. And then 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, let's put in 2 for x. So I'm going to put 2 for x. Let's erase that. Okay, so it's 2 squared, which is 4. And then 4 plus 1 gives us 5. So you can see this is where it increases exponentially. If I go the other way, let's put a couple negatives in there. So let's put in negative 1 for x. So I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, let's put in negative 1 for x. Okay, 2 to the negative 1/2 is 1 over 2 to the first, which is 1/2. And then 1/2 plus 1 is 1.5, or 1.5. Okay, last thing, let's put in negative 2. So I'm going to put in negative 2 for x. So when I put negative 2 in for x, I have 2 to the negative 2. Remember, 2 to the negative 2 is just like saying, you can put this up here, 1 over 2 squared, which is 1/4. And then 1/4 plus 1 is 1 1/4, or 1.25. You can kind of see how these two values, 1.5 and then 1.25, this is where it starts to taper off. It starts to level off at that vertical shift, which is 1. So let's graph these points. Okay, we got negative 2, 1.25. So negative 2, we go to the left 2, 1.25 is right about here. Okay, we got negative 1, 1.5. So I go to the left 1, up 1.5, it's right about there. Okay, let's graph our y-intercept at 0, 2, which is right here. Let's go 1, 3, go to the right 1, up 3. Now this is where it starts to increase exponentially. And then 2, 5, I go to the right 2, up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there it is. So you can see how the separation as you go left to right gets bigger and bigger because it increases exponentially. And then make sure you continue this. This is where it levels off. And it is never, this blue curve is never going to hit this line right there, that dotted line. So that's the new part right there. So it's not just going to level off at the x-axis, it levels off at whatever the vertical shift is. Okay, and last thing, if we just list the y-intercept, domain, and range, a lot of this stuff is the same. The y-intercept, right, is right here, which is at 0, 2, which is this point. So that's 0, 2. Domain for all these is negative infinity to positive infinity. And then range. Now the range, this is where the vertical shift comes into play. It's all above this line, y equals 1. I'll even list that. This is y equals 1. Okay, so this is where y equals 1 and it's above it. So we're going from 1 all the way up to positive infinity. So that's our new range. So we'll go 1 to positive infinity there.